polynomials, naming the degree, naming standard form, things like that. Is there one of these in particular you'd like to go over? 1, 2, or 3? Okay, let's just talk about number 1 then. Okay, number 1 says first write the polynomial in standard form. What does it mean to write in standard form? Yep, so we want the exponents to go from biggest to smallest. So we're going to start with the 3, and then go to the 2, and then go to the one that doesn't have an x at all. Okay, so my standard form would look like this. 5x to the third minus 2x squared minus 1. Okay, that's standard form. What's the degree?
3.
How do you know?
Because it's the highest exponent.
Okay, the largest exponent is 3, so that's my degree. Okay, what's the leading coefficient?
5.
Okay, leading coefficient is always just the number that's in front once you have it in standard form. Okay, you've got to have it in standard form first before you can identify that leading coefficient. So that would be 5. And then D says find the number of terms and classify. So what I mean by that is look at this and say, okay, it has 3 terms. That makes it a what? What do we call something with 3 terms? Trinomial. Yep. Now, for something like this, if you just write trinomial, that means it has 3 terms, right? Well, I want the name, okay? So you could write 3 and then trinomial, or you could just write trinomial, but you've got to have trinomial in there somewhere. What do you call something with 4 terms, like number 3? Nope, they really don't have fancy names past trinomial. So this one you would just call a polynomial. Anything beyond 3 you just call a polynomial. But in that case you would have to say polynomial and then 4 terms, okay, to specify how many terms, because polynomial doesn't specify how many terms it has. Rachel?
Like on number 3, you know how it says like there's the 6 AB with the 4 and then.
Yep.
Would you put that before or after the one with?
Great question. We've sort of talked about 2 different ways to do standard form when you've got more than one variable like that. What I would do is, how do you find the degree of like just this, 7a to the 4th b squared? Remember what to do with those? You add them together. So this piece really has a degree of 6. This piece has a degree of 4. This one would be a degree of 5. And this one would be a degree of 7. And I would put them in order by those, like the total of the exponents. The other thing that I would accept that is done with these is you could just say, I'm going to go by the A, and I'm going to put them in order by the A's, biggest to smallest. Okay? So I'm not going to get too stressed out. As long as it looks like you made an attempt to go from biggest to smallest with standard form with this, you'd be fine. So like this one I would say is 5a to the 4th, b to the 3rd, plus 7a to the 4th b squared, minus 6ab to the 4th, and then minus 2a squared b squared. Okay. We talked about standard form before we talked about the thing about adding the exponents together in that term, so that's why that might not sink in with you. Rachel?
So for B, when they want you to use the degree, would you do 4 and 3 separate or just add them together?
Nope, you would just say your degree is 7, because 4 and 3 together makes 7. Nice catch. Kyle?
So is that what you want us to do on the test, like add them together?
Yeah, I would do either that, or it would be okay with me if you said, all right, I'm going to look at the A's and put those in order. Now here you've got 2 that have a 4, so then I would say, okay, these both have 4s on them, so then I'm going to go to the B's for sort of my tiebreaker. Okay?
Yeah.
So you could go this one, and then this one, because then the A's would be in order at least. So I would take either one of those.
Okay.
Okay? Whichever one's easier for you. So then I'll just finish this one out. My leading coefficient here would be the 5. And for part D, I would just call it a polynomial, but then I would have to specify how many terms it has. Okay, it's a polynomial with 4 terms. Okay? Questions on that? Okay, down here at the bottom, these are the ones I'm getting the most questions on. So let's just go ahead and go through both of these, okay? Because I've had a lot of people asking about these. Let me zoom that in a little more. Okay, these want you to give the perimeter and area of the shape, all right? And some of us need a refresher on just some basic geometry, which is fine because this isn't a geometry class. How do you find perimeter of anything? Perimeter is always just adding up the sides. So like for this rectangle, my perimeter would be this plus this. And then remember, you've got to fill in kind of this side and this side also. But they're just going to match these. So my perimeter would be 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 plus x squared plus 5 plus 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 plus x squared plus 5. Okay, I'm adding all of those together. Now, Kyle pointed out that the directions really just say find an expression. This is an expression, okay? It doesn't say you have to simplify, but the one on your test you do have to simplify. Okay, the directions do say simplify, so let's go ahead and simplify it just so you have an idea how that works. The other big question I've been getting is about combining things like this. Like you have a 3x squared, an x squared, a 3x squared, and an x squared. Would that become like x to the 8th when I add together? No, when you're adding like terms, you are just saying how many of those things do you have. So I have 3x squareds and then 1x squared, so that's 4x squared, with 3 more x squared, so that's 7x squareds, and then 1 more makes 8x squareds. So you're adding together the coefficients, 3 and 1 and 3 and 1, but you are not doing anything with the exponents when you're adding. So that would be 8x squared. Then I'm going to combine 2x and 2x, and that makes 4x. And then I've got negative 1 and 5, negative 1 and 5, which I believe is going to make 8. Okay, so that would be your final answer for perimeter. 8x squared plus 4x plus 8. Questions on that at all? Does that clear up how to do perimeter at least? All right, let's talk about area. How do you do area of a rectangle? Okay, length times width, you just multiply. So I am just multiplying this and this together. So for my area, I'm going to do 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 times x squared plus 5. And then I have to FOIL or distribute. FOIL isn't really the right term here because you've got 3 terms here. But what's 3x squared times x squared?
3x.
Okay, so when you're multiplying, you do change the exponents. So 3x squared times x squared makes 3x to the 4th. And then I'm going to do 3x squared times 5 and get 15x squared. 2x times x squared makes 2x to the 3rd. 2x times 5 makes 10x. Negative 1 times x squared makes negative x squared. And negative 1 times 5 makes negative 5. And remember, a good way to check and see that you got all the pieces that you needed is to say to yourself, okay, here I have 3 pieces, here I have 2. When I do 3 pieces times 2 pieces, I should end up with 6 pieces. Okay, and then I'm going to combine my like terms. So that would be 3x to the 4th, a 2x to the 3rd. I have 15x squared and negative x squared, so that's going to make 14x squared. I have a 10x and I have a minus 5. So that right there, starting at the 3x to the 4th, that's your final answer for area. Does that make sense? Kind of a long process, but shouldn't be too difficult. Any questions on that? Anyone feel like they wouldn't be able to do that on their own? Okay, we are sea of blank stares this morning.
Number 5,
Yep.
for area,
Mm-hmm.
y squared minus 5 times y squared plus 4y minus 5.
And then you would have to divide it all by 2. Cut it in half. Yep. Let's talk about that one. I'm going to need some more space here. So for number 5, first let's start with perimeter. And again, how do I find perimeter? You always just add the sides together. So I'm going to add all 3 of these sides together. So I'm going to say y squared plus 4y minus 5 plus y squared minus 6y plus y squared plus 2y. Okay, so I'm adding all of those pieces together. Combine my like terms. What do I get when I add y squared, and y squared? 3y squared, yep. Okay, and then I have 4y and negative 6y and 2y. Well, actually, that's going to be negative 2y plus 2y is 0y. So I don't even have to write that. Hi, Zoe. And then negative 5. Okay, so my final perimeter comes out to be just that. Did that make sense why the y's disappeared?
Don't you have to do like 1/2?
Not for perimeter. Perimeter is still just adding up the sides. The 1/2 comes in with the area. So we were just going over the test review. Do you have that? I gave it to you on Tuesday, I think it was. If you don't have it, there's extra copies on the front table. But. Okay, let's look at area now. And this is where we're going to get into what Wyatt was talking about. The formula for area of a triangle is what? Okay, 1/2 base times height.
But we don't need all of
Okay, right. So we're not going to use everything. We're only going to use the base and the height this time. So this number, or this term, does not have anything to do with our area. So my area is going to look like this. 1/2 times y squared plus 4y minus 5 times y squared minus 6y. And what I would do, I know it's tempting with that 1/2 out in front to start with that. I would actually ignore the 1/2 for now, and I would just multiply these two parentheses together. So that would give me area equals 1/2. And then y squared times y squared is y to the 4th. Y squared times negative 6y is negative 6y to the 3rd. 4y times y squared is 4y to the 3rd. 4y times negative 6y is negative 24y squared. Negative 5 times y squared is negative 5y squared. Oh, I'm so close. And negative 5 times negative 6y would be, I feel like I have too many y squareds. Hold on. Oh, negative 5 times negative 6y would be positive 30y. Were you able to follow that okay? Got a little lost there in the middle. But there are your 6 terms. Now I'm going to go ahead and combine whatever I can in here. So area equals 1/2 y to the 4th. I've got negative 6y to the 3rd and 4y to the 3rd, which makes negative 2y to the 3rd. Negative 24y squared and negative 5y squared makes negative 29y squared. And then plus 30y. And now after all that, now I'm going to deal with the 1/2. What do I do with the 1/2? Distribute it to everything. What do you get when you do 1/2 times y to the 4th, Isaac? Nope. Nope, but that's exactly the answer I was hoping to hear. Okay, it's not y squared. What if that were a 5 and you were doing 5 times y to the 4th? How would you write it? You would just write 5y to the 4th, right? So this would be 1/2 y to the 4th. Okay, you just stick a 1/2 in front of there. Yep. So, Isaac, that is the mistake that I see a lot. Okay, a lot of people say that. It's going to get really confusing with all that writing. A lot of people do the 1/2 times the y to the 4th. Remember that 4 is an exponent, and the 1/2 is just a regular number, so they don't mix at all. 1/2 times 2 is just -1, y to the third. 1/2 times 29 is going to be 14.5. And then 1/2 times 30 is 15. So notice my exponents all stayed exactly the same. I just cut all the numbers in front in half. And there's your final answer for area. Okay? Again, kind of a long process, but hopefully not too difficult. Any questions there? Okay. Let's move on to the factoring page.